Hello and welcome to another episode of the Parity Podcast. I'm excited to introduce you to our guest today, who is Engineer Abdulwasiu Olorunshola Suleiman, the visionary CEO of Wasper Solutions and Allied Services Limited. His company is a recognized leader in software and hardware solutions in Niger State and Nigeria at large, and known nationwide for their exceptional services in surveillance technology and software development, with a strong reputation for innovations and reliability. Wasper Solutions continue to set benchmarks in delivering advanced technological solutions for organizations across Nigeria. So let's start by talking about education. What do you think about the current state of our education in Nigeria and Niger State in particular?
Well, if we want to talk about the education, the barrier in our educational sector is widespread. It's such that the gap is so much that if not accurately tackled sooner or later, it will surmount all our trouble that we see now. It will double in the next couple of years, because at the rate at which you have youth that are illiterate, we call them illiterate because they don't go to school, or they are not educated rather. So, but the ones we feel are educated, they have not have the capacity or the skill set to enable them adapt to the current challenges that is around the country currently. So, which means if we call the people that we see and call illiterate uneducated, the ones that even come out of the school, they are also uneducated because the education they have does not bring any innovation, which means it is useless. So what that means is, in the next couple of years, both the educated, our assumed educated, and the one we called uneducated, they will be similar. There will be no difference, which is exactly where we find ourselves. We have many graduates. They cannot fine-tune a job for themselves. They cannot innovate anything out of the blue, which means that we are dependent on anything that is already developed, then we work on it, and of which we do not even have the tool and the skill set to work on those things. So what that means is, in the next coming years, we will be in a deeper trouble than wherever we think we are currently.
Yeah, I like that analogy. Basically, what you are saying is, like, we have a lot of educated people, graduates, out there on the streets that don't apply like critical thinking or come up with solutions that will help them survive in the current situation because of how the educational system is structured.
Exactly. You see, the way the educational system is structured is such that it teaches the students the tools, rather than the problem. Let me try and use an example to illustrate what I'm trying to say. So if I to have a car and I'm an instructor trying to teach my student, I will say, okay, let's dismantle this engine. Now, when we are dismantling this engine, remember, the bottom line while we are dismantling this engine is as a result of I want to educate the student as to how the engine actually works. So if we were to teach the student how this engine works, we will require so many things, which are tools, like wrenches. We will require something like screwdrivers, pulley, and so many other tools required. Now, when the engine is dismantled, we will see and connect some of the components and see how they interact with each other, then see how they actually function. Now, the basic problem is this. We are trying to know how these things function, but that is not how our school is structured. How our school is structured is much more of, they will bring a course on pulley, they will bring a course on screwdriver, they will bring a course on wrenches, and so many others. But it is not, they didn't teach them how these courses were to be applied to a problem solved. So we have a lot of problem, and we know a lot of tools. We cannot apply these tools to the problem.
Yeah.
That is exactly where we have. So the educational sector need a total review in such a way that it teaches the students from the initial, from the grades, from the basic level,
Yes.
to be innovative. All the courses they teach the students from this kindergarten to primary, secondary, and so on, they are becoming useless at the later stage because it is not innovating. And at the primary stage, if you fail there, you automatically fail at the upper stage. So they need to change the directive. They need to change the review. The courses needs to be reviewed, and I'm talking about in a whole sector. And all of you, many of the companies around can do a lot about this.
Yes.
How can we come? Like, for instance, in Wasper Solutions, we had a center called ICT lab. What it does is we have all sort of equipment. So that is basically for almost anything relating to ICT, from hardware in terms of networking, surveillance, cameras, in fact, high-tech cameras, so many others, where people can actually see how this thing works. So we've had a lot of people that learn what an IP addressing is in school. They've never actually applied it. They've never seen how to actually make it work. And that way, you have people who are trained, but they are just trained in their brain. They believe they know in their brain. But if you come to the actual field,
Real life
scenario, and because it is the real life scenario that dictates what solution you have to bring. It is not a tailored solution that works for every solution.
Yes. You are more, your Wasper technology is more concerned with ICT, and anytime you come around and you talk, you are more concerned about Niger State. You believe the state is left behind in terms of ICT, and you are someone who wants to like drive skill acquisition to new heights in terms of ICT. Can you just give us an overview of what that is for you? Why you've decided to be the one that will use your resources and everything that you have to teach as much people about ICT in Niger State?
You see, many people fail. Many businesses fail to understand one thing. You are a picture of your environment. If you do not make any step, or you believe your steps are too minimal to change the status quo, you have failed. You have to make attempt. You have to try and make sure that your environment are in coordination with what you are trying to bring about in your own company itself. So for us, we know that these are the kind of people we meet every day. We know the kind of area we are. We know that there is lack of skill. There is human resources. There is human but nobody is using the human resources in them. So which means every company should have it at the back of their mind that since they are the picture of where they reside, they need to develop their environment. It is quite important, because if they do not develop their environment, it will automatically affect their business, if not today, but in the future. So in respect to that, we're actually doing something in respect to that. And as you said, we are very keen to, it's not just Niger State. We have some of our students mostly in Abuja and so many other places. We are very happy for that. But what we are doing currently, and I will use this opportunity to disseminate the information, we are doing a 2-day workshop on surveillance, which is going to be coming up around the 4th of this 4th and 5th of this month.
Yes.
So I think a lot of the channel where people will apply is already out.
Yeah, it's also going to be in the link of the description of this video.
Wow, that's
for everyone to apply.
That will be very good. So I think what that will do is this: we're trying to inculcate ideas into the young youth that they need to develop skill that is actually going to be useful for them later in the day, because many of the cities, the countries that have developed or under that are trying to remove themselves from underdeveloped.
Underdevelopment.
Their only main use is they develop themselves in skill.
Yes.
Take China, before China becomes whom they know of today. China actually do not prioritize you having a PhD, you having anything. What can you provide? How can you do this?
How can you solve a problem?
How can you solve the problem? Some of the engines that everybody use today, like some of the tractors, were actually manufactured or even designed by farmers in China.
Yeah, like I get what you are saying. I like the idea of trying to invest in people. Like that should be like the core trajectory that we should be heading to, especially in Niger State, where honestly, in terms of ICT skills, we are far left behind. When you compare it to other states, I feel we are way back. There are a lot of people that can't even operate just the system, and the way the world is shifting, we are left behind. And this is a good idea. There are, thanks to you and Parity here, we have a lot of tech courses that people can take and learn all these things, and it is at ridiculous prices that are. So when I even tell people outside this place that we have a data analytics class for 20,000 naira, for example, I have someone that was like, I paid 300,000 naira. Someone in Lagos, I told him that own is 20k, and he was like, I paid 300,000 naira to learn this thing. And if I was close to you, definitely 20k and 300k. But I tell him that people in my environment, even though it's as cheap as this 20,000 naira, they still find it challenging to come and learn.
See, the awareness is just too low. The awareness. When I say the awareness, the government pump a lot of money into education. I won't say they are not doing their bit.
Their part.
Yeah, but it could actually also be redirected the right way, because you may be doing the right thing, but in the wrong way. So if I look at how our educational sector is currently, government is the only people that can provide a lasting solution in coordination with private sector. Yes. How do I mean? What I meant by this is this. If, like an instance where we have an ICT lab, and you want to develop an ICT lab for almost every schools, that might be almost something that is impossible. Yes. At current standing, especially in our current situation in terms of funding. Now, what if most of these schools collaborate with the private sector? But what the government normally do is they spend money on one or two and expect results. It's not about doing it. It's about its sustainability.
Yes.
So when whatever you do is not sustainable, it does not have an expert that is using it all the time. Because whatever you put into it today, in our today age, in the next couple of months, 1 year, is outdated.
Yes.
So which means it requires concurrent usage. And when you have concurrent usage, you have concurrent changes. Then the other part that I believe is the most important again is the school themselves do not have skilled instructors. So when you don't have skilled instructors, how do you give the students what they deserve in terms of knowledge? Check any of the schools at current standing. If they are teaching computer science, they will do courses like what is it called? Courses that has to do with coding and so on. 80% of anybody that is very good in coding is not in the university environment.
No.
That is just a fact. It's a fact. Which professor is a coder? Tell me that you know.
I don't know any.
You don't know any?
Well, yeah, but
it's probably simply because for who has become professional programmer does not really require. He sees himself like the fund, because it's not before teaching wasn't about funding or the funds. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
But in today's age, everything is about what do you gain in your pocket. Now, they need to make the university lucrative such that high-level programmers can be in the environment so that they can teach the skills to the people in the environment.
Right now, I have this mindset that private people need to come into play and show government the way that the way to do it, because I just believe the government is continuously going to get it wrong, and this is because there is just this wide gap between how private individuals see things and how the government see things. I believe us, the private entities, need to come up with things, put them into action with our resources and everything. I feel that's just the best way to get something working, something that will work as a Nigerian. When private individuals, companies come and put things in structure, the government will see, okay, this is how it is going. And if they really want to apply it, they will call those private people and say, okay, let's come and have a round table. How do we expand this? And if those private individuals are the right people, they can expand whatever they are doing and allow it to benefit everyone. Because like you said, our universities these days are just adding up to the number of graduates out there, but there is nothing really tangible in the mind and brain of like most of the graduates that come out of Nigerian universities. It's just like a system where you just go graduate for the sake of being a graduate, then you come out and it's still going to be a process, still repeating the same process over and over again.
Exactly.
So I feel private individuals need to give out as much support as they can and help people, young people, have the mindset of I'll do it on my own. I'll build something that will sustain me after I'm done with this university. Because the way the country is going now, if you don't have that type of mindset as a young man, it's going to be very hard. It is increasingly becoming harder to survive as a Nigerian already.
I'll give you an instance. If you go to many other countries, take US, how they become whomever they are now, how very big they are now. How many times do you see US companies fighting for menial contracts in Nigeria? You don't see them often because they don't need to. They already control 80% of the infrastructure that you use, which is either the software. You see, the US, one of the things that is driving them, many people believe there are a lot of intelligent people there. No, there are a lot of patriots in the US. There are a lot of people that have love for the country. And you know, there's a thin line between love and hate. So if you hate, you are not just hating, you are creating a kind of environment around you. And same thing with love. So they kind of love their country. 80% of Nigeria have forgotten how to love their country because of how the country has treated them over time.
Yes.
I'll give you an example as to what happened of recent. Look at the video, for instance. Look at what the video said on the international space. If you look at every of the statements, you cannot say he actually said something that is a lie. But is it patriotic? No. He wasn't meant to defame his own country at the national stage. It is very, very wrong. But how wrong it is it untrue? No. It is actually true. Those are facts about the country. So if you look at that as an understanding as to what the country is, now merge it with current standing and said, okay, who is going to do anything for the other people to develop? Everybody is caring for themselves. And that is exactly where we have failed. I want many for myself. I love myself. I don't love the country. Because if I say love the country, people think by the word Nigeria. No, it's love the nearest close to you. Do you aim and do things to develop the nearest close to you? Those are the kind of love that can develop the nation. And one of the only means to do that is whatever skill set, whatever good things God has done to you, you should be able to create an avenue to create awareness, create that skill, make that skill transferable to the next available person. Where and how Nigerians becomes so adamant that they are unable to do that is the kind of setback that normally comes when they do that. Take for instance, if you go to the US or go to UK, most Nigerians just greet. They don't do things together. When I say they don't do things together, they don't plan businesses together in such a way that they want to grow or serve somebody. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Immediately, this person brings you, maybe you work for me, I'm the one that knows the secret here, I show you the secret. The next thing is you want to use the secret against me and become the Oga. That is why you do not see many streets in the UK that 80% of the estate is owned by Nigerians. Where you see the whole dominant is Nigerians. You don't see it. But in the same UK, you see a lot of people dominated by Chinese or by Indians. Are we saying our population is as big as Indians? It is not. Who is the biggest noisemaker on the internet? It is Nigerians. Whereas the highest hackers in the world and the best are not from Nigeria. When I say the highest, that is, if it's in terms of numbers, it is not Nigerians. If it's in terms of effectiveness, it is not Nigerians. Who are the most stigmatized as a corrupt person in the world? We are one of the number one. And why? It's because we publicize ourselves in the wrong way. We may have maybe plenty bad eggs. There are still good eggs. We need to have that patriotism in us. And it's not just patriotism. Some of the things that is lacking is we have a low ICT awareness. Our low ICT awareness is also a problem because, and literacy, if, as of today, we bring something that will help 10,000 Nigerians and said, okay, this thing should be able to change the life of 10,000 Nigerians, and you open up a chat, or maybe it's on YouTube or on Instagram, check the comment section. You know what you start seeing? Whiskey, the album better pass Davido. Davido album better pass. Davido should be crying now. Please, is that a topic there? It is not. But we've wired our brain to play with everything that can make us okay. Now, the government itself are not helping the matter because 80% of the time, they turn everything to jokes. We'll be very happy if there is a great collaboration within the government and the private sector in different aspects. When I say different aspects, if you have a goal to maybe, for example, the government is trying at current standing, I think we need to appreciate the governor of Niger in respect to agriculture. Now, you may develop agriculture very well. You need to also develop how it is going to be sustainable. Yes. Some of it is to make sure that many of the youths are skilled such that they know how to continue whatever is being done.
Yes.
But not just that, how to innovate it.
And make it easier.
And make it more sellable.
Yeah, I feel in when it comes to innovation, that's where we are left behind. Because if you see how farming is done in advanced countries and you now bring it back here, we are not as advanced as they are. And it's not that we don't have maybe the human resources that can be able to do it, but it's because technologically we are just left behind and we don't have some of the equipment that we need to actually carry out this farming in a way that is much more easier. Because there are things that you see outside Nigeria. If you are watching online, you see how they do all these things technologically, making it very easy, and you see that they get a lot of yield, a lot of harvest at the end of the day. But when you bring it to this part of the world, something like that is kind of not really there. We are just, I used to call it vibes and inshallah is what is happening.
You see, the goal is always the problem. When you start something and the goal and the drivers are not driving to the same direction, that is where the problem is. If the instance I'm giving you earlier, what I meant was, if the private sector, the government wants to work together and drive at a goal, what that means is that, and you want it sustainable, let's say you want to build 100 classrooms, and in a scenario, okay, let me not use that as an example. Let me use a better example. We know one of the biggest problem at current standing is power. There is almost, in fact, amount to pay for Band-Aid now is a problem. Everybody knows that. Now, let's say the government really wants to come in and help. One of the major ways to come in is to provide alternative power source, right? So one of the best alternative power source now is solar. Am I right?
Yes.
Now, if you are using solar, if government wants to provide solar for the whole populace, that is almost like something that might not work. But you can provide it in a way where, okay, for instance, in fact, let's say now, this whole area here, I want to provide solar and start giving people. Because of the bureaucracy in between, they'll say that's not possible because NEPA is available, of which NEPA or AEDC or whatsoever, they are not sufficient. They are not equipped to the level to serve the needs of those people in that environment. But individually, they allow everybody to get solar on your own. If government wants to do that in a sustainable way, let me tell you the best way to go about it. The best way to go about it is we will allow anybody that wants to install solar free. But here is the way you do it. You cannot install the solar like as a company now. I want to install solar. You want to install solar in your company, and I provide solar solution. So what that means is that I will supply you the equipment where it is via the fact that the bank will provide the funding for that equipment. Then there will be a number of years. This is one of the practices used in Japan and so many other places. So they will allow you to install your solar. They will use your rooftop, provide it in a massive way, such that the power generated will supersede what you actually need. Then the remnants of that power will be redirected
to neighboring
to a backup station within that locality, which is going to be housing every other ones that is coming. That way, there will be a lot, like you are now automatically having a power grid in that very environment. After 20 years, they might say after 20 years, the equipment it becomes the government's own, or sorry, the kind of agreement such that any of the power generated, that is the excess power generated, will always be used. Then there will be no much dependence on our current standing that we currently have. When we will know how is this going to be possible? No. It is possible because it has already been done elsewhere. You can say it's not possible here because of our corruption, but no matter what we want to do, we want to say corruption will spoil it. No, we have to stop the corruption. It is we that will stop it from whatever we do. And one of the ways, don't give people the fund. Provide those things such that it is an agreement where they cannot sell because it is not yet to be yours. I earlier said it to become government. No, they can sign it maybe until 20 years before it become yours. Which means if peradventure that house is no more yours, the agreement invalidates. You get what I'm saying? So those are the kind of things that are done in other countries. They use that to make sure that there is sustainability. Because if they install for you, they do everything for you, they allow you to get, and they continue using the excess power so that they get what they are looking for in the long run. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So automatically, that thing will always be there to serve the purpose, not just you, but also your environment. That is how the government and the private sector should be looking ahead instead of the short-term thinking.
Yeah. So you've obviously been critical about two things, which is teaching, problem solving, and ICT. So please, I will just want you to kind of explain how you think this can be achieved.
Okay. The best way to achieve our current educational problem, the lacks I've explained in several of these sessions.
Yes.
is to change our curriculum and make sure 80% of that our curriculum focuses on innovation. By the time you innovate, you automatically have a lot of graduates who are innovators, and you have a lot of human resources to deploy to different sectors of life. Then most of the courses should be such that it is to the problem and not to the tools. It should be such that where you have an art student and you have an art student finish and he does not have anything to do, why are you an art student in the first place? It's simply because the art itself is not a problem to solve that solves anything. It's more like a tool to help in solving other problems. Why do I say that? If you come into any establishment and you like, wow, this is fine, this is very good, that's artistry.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? But ask me who does that. It's not an art student, right? They'll say this one is a
maybe interior designer
or an architect. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is, why would somebody now graduate as an art student when he could graduate as an interior designer? Did you get it?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the tool to achieve that he's been able to everybody to say wow is the art. It's just a tool, while the problem to be solved is different. So we need to change that dynamic where we teach to the problem instead of to the tools.
So basically, I just want to just say something, because maybe to understand this better, instead of maybe going to school to study art, I can just go to school and study interior design, or maybe how to carpentry too can be artistry in a way.
Yeah.
Maybe do carpentry.
It can be like a host. All this can be under one umbrella. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So in that way, you have a lot of people with different skill sets that comes out. But when you have a number of people that comes out with a lot of tool sets that cannot now be combined together, even at this current standing, we are not at loss if we have thinkers that can solve this problem, that are going to work with the government to resolve the problem. For instance, there are a lot of graduates who are good in the field of which it is a tool. They just need that tools to be married with other tool sets in order to provide a certain solution, which is actually the problem. So we have problems at current standing. We just need a way to merge those tools together.
So I want us to talk more about the upcoming CCTV workshop. What inspired the initiative in Parity Innovation Hub with an Wasper technology? What inspired? Because obviously you are the specialist when it comes to hardware solutions like this.
Yeah, I will say on behalf of Wasper Solutions, we've been very grateful for the grace God has given us, because we've been able to maintain a kind of a good relationship with a lot of clients in the States and its environment, Abuja, and so many others. So using that medium, there's just nothing we should do better than make sure that, just like I said, you are a picture of your environment. So doing that, we are trying to make sure that this grace we've enjoyed is also communicated with our environment. So we try to make sure, especially the graduates, the corpers, people that any other person, in as much you have interest in technology, we'll bring you in. We try and mentor you, then give you a host of knowledge that we believe will be useful to you in the future. And that at least, some of these people learn these things. They know it, but they've not practically done it. Or they just did a course on it. They don't see it how it works. You just need to show them. That way they can go somewhere and do it. So those are the kind of the inspirations that is driving us. The inspiration is we are a picture of you and everybody is a picture of its environment. We want our environment to be better than what we are seeing. All we see in many cases, there are times they will tell you don't go to City Gate. Boys are fighting. They don't start. They used to use the word they don't start. Now, as a business owner, it's not good, and it's not good for the business. In Abuja, where we have our office, we don't hear such. But does that mean in Niger we should continue to allow that to happen? The only way we can do that is to uh, put our own resources to use by educating the youth how they can change their lives. It's not even just that we are doing. We have been hosting a lot of football tournaments. We've given a lot of encouragement to the youth in respect of this. And I'll use this medium to say this again. Most of the youths just need someone to talk to them sometimes. If you are there, please, any youth around you, encourage them. You don't have to always badmouth them.
So, what particular skills can the participant of this program workshop expect to learn?
Wow, that's good. On the current workshop we are holding, it is tailored towards surveillance, and which encompasses networking, CCTV, and so many full stop solutions. So we just make sure we try to educate the participants on some of these topics and how to go about developing themselves on the skill sets and further their knowledge in respect to surveillance.
Thank you for your time, and it has actually been an honor to have you with us here, and we hope this is not the last time we're going to see you on this podcast.
So always
There are lots of things that I feel we need to talk, or because of time and we know everything, you might have to call back and ready to talk about.
Of course, we have a tight schedule, but when it comes to this, these are kind of the things that we need to do to educate our youth on how best to go forward. It's lovely having you guys.
Thank you. This is the end of the podcast, and thank you for watching. If you have watched to this extent, we want to thank you even more, and please subscribe to the channel. We have more exciting things coming between Wasper Solutions and Parity Innovation Hub. We'll see you in our next episode.